My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. Police and Parliament have been, police has started investigations in the murder of a mobile money operator in Katavi Town Council in Entebbe. Nambi Bogia was killed in cold blood. She was allegedly shot a few meters from her home as she retired from her workplace, and the thieves ran away with the bag that had her money.
Victim was identified as one Nambi Bogia, who was allegedly carrying some money, and we got to know that she is a mobile money operator, and was gunned down. At the scene, we were able to pick 3 cartridges, and they have been taken for analysis to ascertain the exact gun that was used in this kind of robbery. So far we are treating it as aggravated robbery and murder, but we have not yet ascertained how much money was taken from her. We are calling upon the community to, especially those who have information about what exactly happened, to come out and give us this information so that we can investigate the case further.
Office of the Prime Minister has today drawn and showcased the journey of Uganda and her achievements towards obtaining 100% set target of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. This is to advance integrated implementation of the 2063 agenda, which are mutually reinforcing. Our reporter Shaidat Nasaku has the details.
As the curtain gets down on the Millennium Development Goals, Uganda celebrated an outstanding achievement aimed at reducing extreme poverty to 1/3 of the population. This, however, between 2012 and 2017, fell to under 1% a year, while Ugandans returned to 6% annual GDP growth in 2018-2019, and household expenditure is rising. Some Ugandans still live below the poverty line. With the outbreak of COVID-19, the country lagged behind in all sectors. That brought about the limit of SDGs that had risen to 50%.
The speed at which we are looking at achieving now slackened. Most of the things we utilize or use are imported. We are not 100% self-sufficient in terms of what we use. Now had a limitation in the products we use, especially when we talk about scientific products, that machinery, things like equipment, some medicines. Now there was a limitation, scarcity. We intended to achieve, because some of these deliverables or contributory actions are achieved at that time.
In this, the Commission of Strategic Coordination and Implementation, or PM James Tegeza, says they are drafting measures on how to rise again and go past the previous percentage in the shortest time possible in order to achieve their goal by 2030.
I want to emphasize the fact that SDGs do not have separate money to implement national aspirations. We are looking at all these frameworks that seek to collect more data in a more organized way, the surveys and so on, and reporting, monitoring and evaluation, and the overall coordination framework. Because what you see as SDG coordination framework is just a customization of the bigger institutional policy framework for coordination, where all other coordinators in their various mandates align to.
Tegeza further reiterates that they still have hopes of having all Ugandans above the poverty line by 2030.
And now 90% of the National Development Plan 3. National Development Plan 2, we're at 69%.
Through cooperation amongst all the stakeholders and citizens, we have witnessed how we can overcome development challenges if we work together.
The side event of the 7th Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development Goals was under the theme Strengthening Voluntary National Reviews, Uganda's Leadership Journey in Implementation and Reporting on the Sustainable Development Goals. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
The move by Ndora East legislator to amend the constitution to reduce the roles and powers of the Bank of Uganda governors hangs in balance as the Parliamentary Legal Affairs Committee subjects his proposed amendment to serious scrutiny. In his bill, Michael Mawanda has failed to convince the members on why the governor and the deputy should not be on the board and why deputy governor should have a term limit while governor has no term limit.
For purposes of macro and microeconomic stability.
From 2019, Igara County East MP Michael Mawanda has been researching to draft a bill to amend Article 161 of the Constitution that deals with the affairs of Bank of Uganda. Mawanda particularly wants the governor and his deputy to be removed from being board members of the central bank as opposed to the current situation. He says that this is to avoid mismanagement and conflict of interest.
What Parliament considered was that there was fusion of management and leadership of the board in the affairs of the central bank, where the chairman of the board was the governor of the central bank. So he would handle matters as the governor, still in the same chair, handle matters of the board, still in the same place.
Bank of Uganda was established in 1966, and from that time till to date, the governor also doubles as board chairperson, which Mawanda believes can cause managerial problems, while some lawmakers believe it helps to keep the secrecy of monetary policies.
There was rationale why there was fusion, what appears to be fusion in functions, that a governor and deputy are board members of the board of directors of Bank of Uganda. There was a reason and there was a justification. I don't think it is something that was created out of the blue, and you did allude to the sensitivity. What I want to understand from you is whether in your research you tried to understand why initially that fusion was there.
The lawmaker also proposed in his bill for the deputy governor to have a term limit of 10 years, while for the governor is unspecified. A proposal committee members are carefully treating with suspicion and have subjected the clause to a watertight scrutiny.
If you could help the members who will eventually write a report supporting this bill or not, why the deputy governor is having a term limit? I think, Honourable Chair, it will be up to the House and the members to decide. That's my proposal. We wanted the governor. Yes.
However, Mawanda's hope of amending the bill on Bank of Uganda can remain alive if he convinces the committee beyond reasonable doubt on grey areas in his proposed amendment, and as well as allow the committee to further polish and fix the concerns therein. Philip Aguta, UBC News in Kampala.
Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Judith Nabakova, has unveiled a new technology codenamed ePosta Uganda, intended to ease service delivery. The technology aims at facilitating smooth flow of online management services through ePost, e-government, e-payment, e-commerce and e-address.
In the new era of embracing technology to have quick access and reliable exchange of information, the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance has launched a new technology codenamed ePosta, to which is to offer personal address to everyone. Minister Judith Nabakova, while unveiling this new technology, said this will improve on business and e-commerce and appeal to Ugandans to reach out to the nearby offices and acquire this digital address.
The Ministry of ICT and National Guidance is very pleased to launch an addressing system which we believe shall not only ease service delivery but also spur business and e-commerce in our country. Let me start by thanking His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for having created the Innovation Fund, which fund has enabled young entrepreneurs to come up with packages like the e-postal address system.
Minister Nabakoba said as government, they are ready to collaborate with the Posta Uganda for everyone to access virtual address system.
I would like to re-echo government's commitment to improving service delivery for the wananchi. There are ongoing efforts to secure budgets to create government service centers in post offices, where our citizens shall obtain services conveniently, cheaply, and quickly.
The National Identification and Registration Authority, NIRA, will expand its service points in order for Ugandans to have effective access.
Documentation could be submitted online. One of the options is to use the poster service points for people to be able to submit their applications.
Registration of companies is a requirement for government entities and will support URSB to regulate business as well locate goods using e-posta.
The law does provide that for you to register a business in Uganda, under the Companies Act, sections 115, 116, it is provided that every company must file its registered address, that is the physical address, and registered postal address.
e-posta will improve the security features that will help to secure and regulate travel documents.
That the cycle for e-commerce is now complete, because what has been lacking was the box on physical address.
Over 102 e-posta physical addresses are in use with a service fee of 20,000 annually, and 8,000 physical boxes are placed on walls owned by companies and individuals.
Beneficial to us because everybody is thinking about passports, but it's going to be very beneficial to us when it comes to immigration, particularly with the issuance of work permits.
Irene Faith Nantongo, UBC News.
The debate on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2019 continues for the third day of debate in Parliament. State Minister for Lands, Honorable Persis Namuganza, and also Bukono County MP has supported the extension of the term of MPs and other civil servants from 5 to 7 years. She added that most of the MPs really want the extension, but they fear to say it because of the population. Namuganza was debating on the floor of Parliament on the proposed amendment bill of 2029. However, the first Deputy Prime Minister, General Moses Ali, in his opinion, disagreed with the thirds of the August House on the issues of scrapping off the army representation in Parliament. The bill awaits third reading and voting, as Gwitavinji Gloria reports.
7 years, they do love 7 years. Put there about whatever, a separate ballot, and you see it will go through. So yes, 7 years for me I support. There is a lot of wastage of resources in elections in this country, and yet we are still a developing country.
These RDCs should not be removed, but only remove those who are involved very, very seriously in climate degradation. When it comes to the army, I'm a general, and I'm more going to support the proposal of removing army, even if I'm not a first deputy prime minister. The fact that I'm a general is enough to reject that idea.
We know that the army can still serve us outside this parliament. Why should they be in this parliament? It is a multi-party, we are already in a multi-party dispensation. It was possible those days when we were under NRM system. Right now we are in a multi-party dispensation. What the hell why do we have the army here in parliament? When it comes to scorecard, then they score 0. Why should we have them here? I think the best thing to do is to have army representation out of this parliament. If an army officer or an army person wants to join parliament, resign. If you are a teacher, you have to resign.
I think we should not reinstate
the term limits. And if at all it has to be done, it should apply to all elective offices and not only to one office, Right Honorable Speaker.
A good idea, the Constitution sure did. Let the people of Uganda elect their leaders every 5 years. That's enough restriction. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Most of them don't even study after their parents die, and their money is lying there. So do we really need you here? We don't at all. Actually, I was waiting, Madam Speaker, to talk about this because it hurts me. I have many people in my district whose children no longer go to school, and we have UPDF representatives. For what? There is no job description for them. We are happy they've kept our security very well, and so they can continue serving the country from outside, not from the house, Madam Speaker.
But once we allow UPDF soldiers here, representatives, we shall share them. Opposition takes 5, the ruling government takes 5. That will be fair. The moment we agree on that in our amendment, that whenever they are voting, when I cry here, the others will come. Madam Speaker, as we talk now, the new UPDF members who are coming, they are all heads of departments in the serves no purpose because the army MPs don't represent the army. They don't visit the constituencies. They don't talk about the problem of the welfare of the army. I have talked about this on the Committee of Defense. I have been the Senior Minister of Defense and Security. I questioned the army MPs about their role here in the House.
MPs debating on whether to keep the UPDF in or out of Parliament. Thank you so much for watching. Let's take a very short break. Do not go anywhere. We have more in return.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
Stay connected to the largest 4G network in Uganda, anytime, anywhere, using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi, available at only 123,000 Uganda shillings. This comes with 15 GB free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 users at a go and still enjoy a shared yet unmatched internet experience. Dial *175*9# to activate free 15 GB. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network. Airtel is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
We can't tolerate sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment is unacceptable in our school.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Wait.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Download MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles.
MTN.
Your safety while using electricity starts with having a certified technician to wire your premises. Do not use Camille
Socket. Chisaka, now that the wiring is complete, how do I get power?
No, I'll get you power in my own way. And you don't even have to worry about the bills. I'll bring them myself. Is your neighbor there?
She went to work.
Does she have power?
Yes.
If your neighbor power, you have power. Desist from illegal connections because they are not only dangerous, but could lead to prosecution and death.
Chisaka, what is this? Oh my God, I'm from Umeme.
I did not say Umeme. I am from Umeme. At Umeme, your safety is our top priority. Report illegal practices to Umeme when you detect them. Download the Umeme app for other services. Stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Umeme, powering Uganda.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
News tonight, we go straight to business. Group farming has been cited as one of the avenues through which farmers can benefit from agriculture. Government Whip Ruth Nankabirwa underscores the need to support farmers with affordable interest loans to boost their incomes. Nankabirwa echoed this while touring Kana Farm in Rengaju sub-county, Fort Portal city of Kabarole district.
A walk for a reason, in pursuit of finding facts about farming for commercial purposes, defined Ruth Nankabirwa's tour of Kana Farm, found in Rwengaju sub-county in Kabarole district. Welcoming to the eye are various models of farming ranging from crops to animals. Impressed by farmers in this area, part of whom is renowned agriculturist Richard Nyakana, Nankabirwa is optimistic.
They want to add value. They want to do. They want to add value on the milk. They want to add value on the poultry by maybe having a hatchery here, which requires three-phase generator. Transformer for some of the farmers here.
She is concerned that farmers have little access to affordable interest loans, something she pledges to address.
Farmers here in Rwengaju can be assisted through microfinance support center to get more affordable finance, which has affordable interest rates, and where they don't require difficult sureties. So that's what the farmers need. Accessibility and affordability of finances is very key.
Established under 4 pillars, the farms were developed and organized in segments of home improvement, food security, household income, and value addition.
But as pillars in Nyezo, they have helped us to evaluate every other time and ensure that people are moving more. But we have got a small committee called the Management Committee of the whole sub-county of Rwengaju, where we always go and visit these families.
The fact-finding tour by Ruth Nankabirwa is said to have been sanctioned by the head of state. It aimed at establishing what other farmers can learn from Richard Nyakana in embracing farming for commercial purposes. Henry Okrut, UBC.
The World Health Organization has urged Tanzania to start reporting coronavirus cases and share its data. Tanzania is one of the few countries in the world that has declined to publish its data on COVID-19 cases. It last did so in May when about 500 cases and 20 deaths had been recorded.
It's been 9 months since Tanzania last reported COVID-19 data. In May last year, the country had registered 509 cases and 21 fatalities. The WHO wants that to change. The extent of the spread of the coronavirus in Tanzania is unknown, but the WHO says some Tanzanians traveling outside the countries have tested positive. President John Magufuli's government has chosen to handle the virus differently to other countries. It did not implement a lockdown like its neighbors Kenya and Uganda. It instead focused on urging people to wash and sanitize their hands, steam themselves with herbal blends, and eat immune-boosting foods. The president is even encouraging citizens to buy locally made masks, claiming some of the imported masks were compromised.
I am your leader. I know a lot and have to tell you the truth. If you will wear a mask, please, those made by the health ministry, or make your own.
The government has now released 8 steps to combat the virus. They include eating balanced diets, following instructions from health experts, putting on face masks, and reporting to health centers after. Tanzanians are also encouraged to try traditional remedies which have not been proven to work.
For sure, they have been healed by our medications, and those 10 that came to thank us show that more are healed but have not given us feedback. Let's not fear corona. The medication is available. We shouldn't stop steaming ourselves, drinking lemon and ginger tea. These are things that even our elders used to use.
Tanzania's lack of COVID-19 data has been controversial both here and internationally. The WHO and other bodies argue that data would help illustrate the extent of infections, while the government feels that would create unnecessary panic. Instead, it is choosing to focus on promoting its preventative campaigns and alternative herbal remedies. The unusual approach has affected public opinion on the pandemic.
You see, I'm not wearing a mask. It's because we don't know the data. We don't know who died and who got infected. So we view it as just a passing phase.
This disease is everywhere, and we are not an island, so I support how the government chose to handle it.
Yes, thank you so much for watching. That is all we had for you this time round. We'll have more news at 10 p.m. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. Enjoy the next program. Catch you then.
Brought to you by
At Umeme, your safety is our top priority. Report illegal practices to Umeme when you detect them. Download the Umeme app for other services. Stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Umeme, powering Uganda.
A very warm welcome. It is time for the weather forecast from the Weather Center with Semper Alex Kim. We have been dealing with sunny intervals across most parts of the country most of the day, but for areas along the Victoria Basin, it had some light isolated rainfall in the afternoon hours. We still have a lot of haze across the country. Now, haze we are seeing is mainly because of winds coming in from the north, carrying dust particles from the Sahara Desert and dumping them into our region, and that is why we are seeing the haze. Now, haze is known for reducing the clear visual range. For those of you in transport, you may have to be very careful with your speed. Tomorrow, we do expect to see sunny intervals across most parts of the country, apart from areas along the Victoria Basin where we do expect some light isolated rainfall. But in the afternoon, we do expect a pickup of thundering rainfall that will be across most parts of the southern sector of the country. And because of this, we do expect temperatures to rise to 31 degrees centigrade to be across Karamoja region. 27 in the nation's capital, Kampala, whereas in Kabale Highlands, we are forecasting at 22 degrees centigrade. And elsewhere across the globe, we are forecasting for Pretoria, chances of thundering rainfall at a daytime high of 27 degrees centigrade, whereas London is expected to be quite cold at 6 degrees centigrade as a daytime high. With that, we conclude it. Join us again tomorrow same time.
Hello, you're on Initiative Africa. My name is Asha Sampath. Welcome to this new edition of your weekly magazine featuring Africa on the move through smart innovations and initiatives that work. Let's get on with the show with our top stories today. We meet Alexandra Palt, the Executive Director of the L'Oreal Foundation, who promotes African women scientists through the L'Oreal UNESCO Program for Women in Science, which supported 15 doctoral and 5 postdoctoral students from sub-Saharan Africa through endowments in 2020. She's our guest this week.
But in average, when you look at the continent, 30% of researchers are women. The problem is that there are too few researchers and that the world needs much more researchers from Africa.
Raising awareness among young people about the negative impact of conflicts and wars through meetings and discussion platforms. This is the mission of Fon Diodon, a disabled Cameroonian.
My worst memory is when people who are close to me, friends and relatives, were pulled out of their house and shot and killed. Those are very horrible moments in my life.
Finally, we head for the land of the upright man, Burkina Faso, where women are actively participating in the country's economy through craftsmanship.
I made my first trip abroad to come to the SIAO, which was where my talent was discovered. And when I realized that I had to take it seriously, I stopped going to work in an office, and now I earn a living from handicrafts.
In Cameroon, the issue of equality for social, economic and political rights between Anglophones and Francophones has turned into a serious crisis, leading to its share of human tragedies and population displacement. Now imagine the challenge you would face if you had lost loved ones, your home and your business during this crisis and had to live with an amputated leg as a result of a car accident. Our Voices for Peace series, inspired by the African Union's Silencing the Guns initiative, takes us today near Yaoundé to meet Fon Diodon, a star renowned in disability football. Fon uses his notoriety to sensitize young people to the negative impact of conflicts and wars through organized meetings and discussion platforms. Quite remarkable.
My worst memory is when people who are close to me, friends and relatives, were pulled out of their house and shot and killed. Those are very horrible moments in my life. My also worst moment was when I was living in a single room with my daughter and my wife, who was heavily pregnant, and we barely could not have anything to eat. My best moments are, when I appear onto platforms, even international platforms, as a hero, as somebody who the world looks onto to listen to my story. Okay, I was forced to run away from my house. I lost my business. I lost everything that I was doing. I lost my comfort. I lost my peace. I lost hope several times. There are moments I used to see and I imagined that it was better I would have been dead. There are moments I used to imagine that I wish I were not born. And basically I was begging to survive, to feed my family. I have to depend on friends. I have to depend on strangers. you know, before I could be able to feed my family. It was because of my displacement and because of the conflict that I began to discover a lot of things. I meet so many other people who were displaced, friends who were displaced, and now my whole story has changed. Everything that I used to think about, I've now moved to another level. The conflict has made me think out of the box. The conflict has removed me from my comfort zone. So the conflict has really shaped my career, and now I'm a civil society actor. I'm an advocate for peace. I'm an amputee football player. Before I was not playing football, so. But the general situation of violence, burning of houses, burning of cars, blocking of roads, and all the things have greatly subsided because of the voices that were put out there. My peers now understand that mediation, dialogue, negotiation, and a come together of people can give lasting solution to conflicts. So the situation has greatly changed, you know, because we are seeing people now coming together to pray, people coming together to say no to violence. We've created a lot of platforms where young people can share their voices online and offline. I was to travel to Qatar on a program on peace building, but it was halted. I was to travel to Sierra Leone, but it was halted due to COVID-19. I was to travel to US, but it was halted due to COVID-19. And a lot of my friends that I used to bring together and we do sport together, we could not do sport again. It brought a lot of depression and trauma and stigmatization. It increased the degree of pain in us, adding to the conflict again, adding the conflict zone again of Northwest and Southwest. I expect the participants to know what it means to build an inclusive society. I expect the participants to know what it means to live with a disability, to live with an impairment. So in this aspect, it will help the participants to fit in the society and look everybody as equal. In a few years from now, I'm seeing a situation where youth will be able to take position of leadership. You know, Africa has the highest population, a youthful population, and Cameroon in particular has about 75% of youth. So we are seeing youth in future taking roles as leaders. We are seeing a situation where young people will take the road to peace and not the road to violence, because they have discovered that violence is not a solution to our problems.
And next week in our Voices for Peace series, Spotlight on the Diaspora, we will highlight their efforts to strengthen peace in the Central African Republic through education and training initiatives. But for now, let's get back to our guest, who, as I mentioned earlier, is a great supporter of women empowerment. She is the general manager of the L'Oreal Foundation, which allows young women scientists to access endowments. The objective is to help them progress in their research and their careers. She explained to Laurence Soustras and Thierry Schiller what solutions she envisions for young African scientists. Alexandra Palt, thank you for joining me on Initiative Africa. You are the Executive Vice President of the L'Oreal Foundation and the head of L'Oreal UNESCO for Women in Science Awards. Could you tell our African viewers what are those awards about?
Thank you very much for having me. So the L'Oreal UNESCO for Women in Science Awards exists since 20 years, more than 20 years. At this time, we became aware of the fact that women scientists were invisible in society. Scientific excellence was also always a male domain. So more than 20 years ago, we decided to give awards to recognize and acknowledge female scientific excellence. So every year, 5 women from 5 major geographical regions are awarded for their lifelong career. But very fast we became aware that this is not enough, and that we have also to encourage young scientists, women who are doing their thesis or their postdoc in order to encourage them to pursue scientific careers. And so we added programs, regional or national programs, in order to give awards to young talents and encourage them to continue their scientific research.
So far, there have been over 100 laureates and over 3,000 scientists awarded research scholarships in over 107 countries. How have African women fared in this competition?
So when we look at the geographical distribution of researchers in the world, we see that in Africa just 2.4% of researchers come from Africa on a global scale. 2.4. So this is a very, very small number. Among these 2.4% of worldwide researchers, there are 30% of women. And that is the average that we see everywhere. That's the same like in Europe or in North America or in other parts. Of course, you can have then national variations. So you have a lot of women in South Africa, and you have very few women in some countries. In West Africa, unfortunately, there are fewer, and so on. But in average, when you look at the continent, 30% of researchers are women. The problem is that there are too few researchers, and that the world needs much more researchers from Africa.
So let's talk about this absence of women in science in sub-Saharan Africa. What solution does your foundation foresee to act on this issue?
So we created a regional program for women in science for sub-Saharan Africa, and we give awards to young talents, who are women who are doing their thesis or their postdoc. This award is related to an amount to a financial contribution of 10 or 15,000 euros, and we add a training program. So we train these young women on communication skills, leadership skills, negotiation, because this kind of soft skills are absolutely necessary to make a career and to get through the glass ceiling. So we add the soft skills to their excellent scientific competencies in order to accelerate their careers.
Still, in sub-Saharan Africa today, there are multiple obstacles to education for girls. And these obstacles seem to appear very early at primary school. What should be done to increase girls' success rate at an early stage?
Well, actually, I think girls, the question is not a rate of success. Girls are as good in math, as good in all scientific topics as our boys. Even when you look at worldwide studies, you see that girls are doing very good in science, often even better than boys. No, the problem is, how do we orientate them to scientific studies? Because unfortunately, gender stereotypes and representations make girls go to other fields of professional fields than scientific issues. So we have to encourage them and orientate them from an early stage on to choose more scientific careers in various fields. Can be in companies, in public life, in research and innovation, but we need more women in science. So what the L'Oréal Foundation is doing, we are supporting local organizations, because in a lot of countries there are local NGOs who try to work to encourage girls to choose scientific studies and to go further in their interest for science. The very interesting initiatives in Kenya, in Republic of Congo and so on, where accomplished scientists try to accompany young girls and children to science.
Successful young female scientists face another threat, which is harassment, sometimes by their male supervisors. Your foundation found out that there are quite some issues in this field. What are you doing in this matter?
Yes, sexual harassment is a major obstacle in women's careers in general. It is true also in science, and we have found out that women are confronted to sexual harassment on all continents, in Europe, in America, in Africa. Unfortunately, this is still a taboo, so a lot of people think that science is protected from this kind of behaviors, and we know that it is not, because when we do research, we get the numbers. during 2019, in our last research, 47% of women said that they have been either confronted or witnessed sexual harassment or deviant behavior at least once in that year. So that is a huge number. So this is unfortunately an endemic problem, and if we want to have more women in scientific careers but more women in professional life, we need to make clear that this is unacceptable and that it has to be very, very severely sanctioned.
What can your foundation do concretely?
Well, our foundation, what we can do is, of course, raise awareness. We have the capacity to raise awareness among the women scientists. We have also the capacity to raise awareness among the institution and the public opinion. And we also do a lot of research, as we did last year, in order to identify the obstacles that women are confronted with. And then we also, this is also an issue that we take seriously in our training programs in order to inform women of harassment situations and what they can do in order to respond to this.
You're on Initiative Africa. Welcome back to the second part of our show. Although girls' education is on the rise on the continent, few women still have access to a high-level education, despite the fact that women actually occupy a crucial place in African societies, often appearing as one of the first victims of the effects of globalization. African women have embraced craftsmanship and are striving to get away from the traditional role of women in motherhood, which very often sticks to their personality. We went to Burkina Faso to meet these active contributors to the country's economic development.
Poverty in Burkina is feminine. If women don't work together, they won't be able to help themselves.
In Burkina Faso, the host country of the Handicraft Salon, women didn't wait for the government to help them get organized. GAFRE, the Women's Action Group for the Economic Revival of Huet, has over 7,000 female members and almost 120 associations. The GAFRE women were at the SIAO with a stand on plastic recycling.
We founded this association to help our sisters and promote development. We are helping one another so we can earn a living. That's why we set up this center to recycle plastic bags. For many women, our association means work in the handicraft sector.
Christiane Bouba works at the Ouagadougou Handicrafts Village. She learned to weave plastic bags there. This new trade was a golden opportunity for this young woman.
By doing this, I have enough money to pay for my lessons. I study in the evening, so when I leave here at 6 p.m., I head off to school. I can also buy myself clothes and get myself little things a girl likes. This job helps me out.
Madame Diaby Quatara Masiani has made salvaging into a profitable business. She produces recycled dyed hessian. She presented her original product for the first time.
I made my first trip abroad to come to the SIAO.